Hello, welcome to Current Exposure. Happy belated Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy holidays to those who don't celebrate. Happy Indigenous People Day to those who celebrate it as such. Peace and love to everyone. Today, I have a special show that we're doing. We're waiting for our young person to come on. We're going to be talking with an inspired young man about creating podcasts from the beginning and also as a business. So this is what we'll be talking about. Chime in if you have some young people who want to get on and get into the comment section. Definitely share today's show with them. And also joining us is Quadir from Brothers Building a Better Nation. Hello, Brother Qua.
How are you? Long time. It's been too long.
Yes. Thank you for coming back on. And before we get into bringing our inspired youth on, tell us a little bit about what you've been up to, especially with the young people in the community.
Definitely fundraising has been a biggest thing. And I
Okay.
think that's something that we've been really trying to hone down on, because simply because the organization can't thrive without funding. So I went
Right.
to Afrotech this year. Afrotech was amazing. I've seen so many beautiful, amazing people. We got a lot of great partners for the organization, and so it also served as a way for me to recharge myself, because
Okay.
my background is IT, and I think that to be and seeing so many of us not only living but thriving was important for me and my mental health,
Wow.
and so that was important.
Nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, do you see that more often now than, let's say, about 10 years ago?
I think because of my exposure to the population that I'm in now,
Okay.
I don't, because bef- because I don't saturate myself with around people who is really at the top of the game. That's usually people who's not coming to my program, um,
Okay.
and especially the media that I put out as well. It's an organization that really helped the brothers that has really been finding a way to break through the social safety net. So I've been seeing actually more places where it's unexpected areas where you will be trying to find help that is not help there.
Right.
So I think that's been an interesting journey that I've been on. So while I've been saying yes, us at our greatest, I've also seen us at our very lowest also.
Right. And thank you for the work that you've been doing around that. I hope that more youth join your program and also start branching off and building their own pathways because their future is right now.
Hmm.
And they have people like you and I that they can network with and also get some type of mentorship from
Right.
to do that. And where is Rockmine? We need Rockmine here because he's like the highlight of
Yep.
tonight's show because this is about him and for him, and it's about also showing other people in our community that's doing the things that we're doing to lift up the youth as well. I
Oh
don't,
yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Rockman just actually got a job at NCST, and so he
nice.
was done with training, and so he should be on now. Should be
Okay.
coming on now. But he's one of the brothers. I mean, once you meet and you hear his story, he's like one of the epitomes about why we started our program. And even last night, what's funny is that I'm an anime fan. I think everybody,
Oh yeah, anime is cool.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. It takes very interesting stories, and we actually bonded a lot through that. We talked a
Wow.
lot about like he's thinking about making one. I've always thought about making one as well. So I think that's the beautiful thing is that even we might be from two different generations or two different spaces, like we found connectivity in that. So he like I said he him and it's another brother I also want you to meet as well that has an amazing story. One of the brothers in our program, he actually had to sell his blood to really be able to feed his child because
Wow.
they gave him, I think, 25 or $50, I think, like that. And so he goes to the blood bank, I think as much as possible, to go
Wow.
there to be able to get money to pay for his kids' pampers and stuff like that. And and this might speak to a larger issue as well,
Yes.
is that there's no while the of course the mothers, of course, she needs support, but
Right.
right now the men that's trying to support and live up to that role, they're doing things to themselves that's
Mm.
extremely harmful.
Right.
And I think it's like when there has to be a better balance when if these young men are going through financial struggles or hardship or addiction issues, and yes, it takes two people to like make a child, but at
Right.
the same time, there gotta be a better way that is not destructive to each other's bodies and mental health, because that's what's really happening right now. These
Yeah.
people are having children out there, and you know they're having children, and now the repercussions is that now they have to step up, and they're just not ready. They're not
Right.
in that mental or even physical standpoint to step up. And the main one is being harmed is the child, because now the
Right.
child's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, yeah, and they didn't ask to come into that situation. I completely understand that. And I think we should there's a lot of this is the thing that I don't like. There are so many programs out here, so much funding coming into these programs, but I don't see the work. I don't see them doing the outreach. Like you're out there, you're like overextended.
Yeah, we
Like
got
you're getting
our
people jobs, you're
population.
getting people in school, you're helping people find different ways to get things like diapers and all that other kind of stuff. You're
Yeah.
tapping into your network of people too.
Mhm.
And it's like to me, I see you as overextended because I have a list of organizations and I also share this with people and they say, oh, I went there, it was
Yeah.
closed, or I
Yeah.
went there
We get that.
and it's like rejection and barriers all over the place. And I'm like, wait a minute, but they're getting funded.
Yeah.
Or the other thing that I don't like is that there are people who aren't compassionate.
Right.
The gatekeepers at these organizations
Hmm.
where people, I don't know if they have like personal life issues and they don't know how to balance that out and they take it out on people who are coming for help,
Hmm.
or I don't, it's like just unacceptable at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's even talk about the dark part about overextension as well, because for the last 3 years, I've had to be put on bed rest at least once a year.
Wow.
Either mean I was having chest pains or I was having headaches, and I was starting to go. So it's not that when I do some of the things that you see me doing, it's not that Quad could just continue to do it. Like there was
Right.
actually a time where I was like, yo, I think it might be something really, really wrong with me, and I might be out of commission for a while. Now,
Mm.
thankfully, that didn't come to true, but my body has been telling me, like, hey, listen, man, I need you to slow down just a tad bit. You know what I'm saying? Because this has gotten kind of crazy working. Because you're right, I work 9 to 5, or sometimes 8 to 6.
Right.
I'm an onboarding project manager for a company, so that's my full time job. And
Right.
then I'm the executive director now of the organization, but I'm also the case manager. You know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
also like when you do a startup, you're a treasurer, you're a banker, you're the accountant.
You're doing,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
everything. And
yeah,
then you have people coming to you for help. And I go through the same thing. Like I'm trying to even and this is why I do this podcast too, to connect and communicate with the community. But I'm trying to build a mental health organization. And yeah, it's like I do my 9 to 5, like you said.
right.
Then I got to help people in between share resources. Like maybe a landlord is doing an illegal lockout. I got to
Yeah,
give them citations for that and motivate them, cheerlead and coach
yep,
to let them know you could do this. Advocate for yourself.
yeah,
You could do this. You know, you don't need me. And they do it. They realize. And then I'm handling my own things too, where
right.
like I had to go through consumer affairs
Mm.
against a contractor because they demolished my front porch steps
What?
without my consent and tried to bully me into signing a contract to pay them. But I got that resolved eventually. Like it took steps. So I'm dealing with that. And then also in between trying to help people.
Yeah, and
And
with
like you said, like
yeah.
I have to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And go on and you know be in a house and people are like, I didn't see you, you didn't show up, and I'm like, I'm trying to regenerate myself. I gotta, you know, still do things to keep me well and then also be a parent and work with that. You know, that's like a whole job in itself.
Right,
So, yeah, and we need more people and we need these organizations to step up and be
right.
out there. Like, for an example, too, I could be at ShopRite and somebody will walk up to me, oh, you know, can I ask you a question? I heard the other day they're doing this rental program, or did you hear about it? And I may have heard about it. And if I haven't, I tell them that. But if I've heard about it, I start giving them information. They take out their phone. I'm like, okay, let me message you this. Let me copy and paste and send you this. Or they'll ask me something about welfare, and yeah, it's
Yeah, and that's another big thing, right? Is that like you're
yeah,
getting out a lot of the and that's the hardest part because even myself, I've needed education on the system because I'm like, hey, sis, something just don't seem right. This doesn't like put you
right,
at you're like, why this isn't right? Because there's no effective way of communication between the system that's trying to serve the people and the people that needs to be served. It's just like you put your information in this ether, and then
yeah,
eventually something comes out. Um, and I think that's some of the hardest parts. That causes a lot of that. That's why organizations like myself is created, is because
right,
we do the young men's paperwork. We try to help them fill things out. We help try to make the phone calls. And then you might be saying like, well, there's other organizations that have case managers, but all the
right,
other organizations, case managers have God knows how many cases, like 25
yeah,
a week, and that's just and they're
yeah,
coming in, so like they're overtaxed, and so
yeah,
you find like now it's like what is causing this cycle of need for help, and how do you at the end of the day be able to recharge yourself? Because
yeah.
if you can't recharge yourself and you're down, then then the
That
whole ship goes down.
that's true. That's true. And you know, honestly, I'm going to be honest. I work with some people that just don't care. And I'm fighting up against them, and that's exhausting too because I'm trying to hold somebody accountable, but I'm not in that position to really do that. So now it's tension, or then they're creating a hostile work environment for me because
Mhm.
I said I gave somebody some information. Let
Right.
me give you an example. I had a coworker, somebody's case was just done completely. They completely botched the case.
Yeah. We just talked
And
about one of our cases, man. Yeah.
right, so I spoke to the person like, well, you see that here you have a right to request a fair hearing. They showed me their letter because they're asking me, what does it mean? There was no explanation. They just denied them without any explanation.
Right.
They didn't even know. They were like, was it my paperwork? Did I not bring anything? They tried to call. They couldn't get anybody.
Right.
So they happened to run into me because I helped one of their friends.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, all right. And so
And that's the system messed up. Because
right.
You're not supposed to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then I have like 100 people coming to me. Yeah. And it's like, but I have 400 other coworkers that are supposed to be doing this. And if we all divvy it up, we can tackle it if it's managed appropriately. But yeah, so people are like, oh, I didn't know I had that right. And I'm like, it says it here. This is your right. If you disagree or you feel like your case was mishandled, you have rights. Don't ever feel like you have to accept what you're given and you know it's wrong.
Right.
You know, pursue that. And people do it. They'll call me back or I'll see them randomly like 3 or 4 months later and they're like, hey, Shakima, that worked. That really helped me. And I'm like, yeah, you helped yourself.
Right.
And some of them smile and I see them, you know, feel good about themselves because, yeah, you don't need me all the time or somebody to hold your hand. Sometimes you just need the right information and the path or the direction on where to go.
Right. And I'm glad you actually said that because, I mean, I'll never forget there was one case I needed advice with, and unfortunately, a young man just gave up because it was the grueling process and the way that, you know, the person called him. It was like a 3-minute conversation, not eligible. You know, forget if he has a son, you know what I'm saying, or forget the complexities of, you know, him trying to get custody of him. Just like, oh, nope, you didn't say this one certain thing, and then they hung up. And then he has to apply for the fair hearing. And then, you know, some of the young men, you know, have a hard time with writing and reading itself. So just trying to do one application online was like at their limit. And so it's trying to and I feel as though sometimes the system knows this, like, because they have wait it out. They're like, hey, listen, if you can wait this long and then wait for this long and fill out this one. And then also make sure you got to have this on a spreadsheet. Who you talk to, a call log.
You have to.
Numbers. You got to bring about how many people's that detail oriented. And I get it, like that helps you grow. But a lot of these people are embarrassed, like they don't have food to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, strategically think about doing something where, you know, if you don't get the SNAP benefits, you can't eat nothing. And you don't know. A lot of them don't have cars. Not every church has a food bank. You know, a lot of people don't go to church anymore. So disconnect the community that's trying to find a way to survive. But then, you know, it's just rough.
It is. We got Rockman. Welcome, Rockman. Let's bring Rockman in.
How y'all doing?
We are okay. How are you?
That's good. Not too bad. You know, it could always be better though.
That's true. And you can make it better.
True.
You don't have to wait for nobody else to make it better for you because that's not happening. Don't bank on that. Bank on what you can do and what you're capable of. And you're capable of great things.
Right.
And that's for real. Yeah. I want you to own that and know that and believe that and live your life like that's what it is because you are our future.
Right. That's something most people forget to tell themselves, you know. Most people, you know, forget the value of themselves, you know, due to other stuff that they might be have going on in life or whatever, you know. Sometimes it could be, I wouldn't say depressing, what's another word? It could be, I don't know, a lot of people, you know, fall under the act of pulling themselves down just based off situations.
Right. Yeah, and you don't have to accept that. You know, even if you are having a bad day and you stop and think, am I having a bad day because of something I did or didn't do? Or am I having a bad day because I'm allowing somebody else who's going through whatever that's not even my problem and out of my control to affect how I'm feeling? you
Right.
know, your life.
Right.
Like that's what it is.
Right.
So you want to get into podcasting, doing your live streams.
Yeah. It always
Oh,
been. It always sat. It sat somewhere near as a like a passion for me.
okay.
I was just talking to Kwa about that.
And you could do it too. All you need is the equipment. You need a computer, internet service,
Right.
um, your streaming platform. Like I use StreamYard, like how you see it set up
Yeah.
and how you clicked in on your end. Like if you had StreamYard, that's the same way your guests will come in.
Okay.
I have a mic like set up. This is my mic. I'm gonna try to put it in, but
Okay.
this is my mic. I have a pop screen on it, so it can smooth out the sound. And I basically learned how to set this up because I did work for a radio station. I did a radio station in college when I went to Rutgers University downtown in Newark.
Okay.
And they had a broadcasting room with the acoustic set up with the padding on the wall.
North Carolina
And
Library has that now too.
yes, so
Yes.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna bring up too later. You should go there and see their setup so that you can write down the type of equipment and test it out. Because once you get into it, there's gonna be certain things that you like, certain headphones
Okay.
that you like, certain mics that you like. Maybe you wanna use an Apple computer to do it. I use an HP to
Okay.
run this live stream. But yeah, like check out other setups. Even if you're watching YouTube shows with other people, look at their setup. Look, it's all visual. You see what
Yeah.
they're using, and you go into stores and try it out, test it out. You can even buy stuff and try it out. And if you don't like it, you return it. Don't feel like you're stuck with it ever.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, I see people, they'll buy all this equipment and don't know how to use it or don't like how it works, and they'll
Yeah.
keep it, and then they'll give up because they're like, I don't have any money to buy what I really want.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
So
That happened too. That's crazy.
yeah, yep. And then also I worked for Wendy Williams. I was her intern, working for free. So I got to see the radio setup too. Now they have mixing boards. I don't use a mixing board. I could, but I don't need it because the computer program does all that for me. And as
Okay.
long as you have a good mic, so you could do low budget.
Yep.
And you could spend less than $500 on a setup just to get started. But and that's the other thing. You gotta invest in yourself too.
Right. Right.
So you might wanna not spend money on eating out or whatever, or I don't know what you buy with your money, but you might want to cut back on some things just so that you can get your equipment.
Right.
Scheme, a quick question. Have you heard about Made at NPL?
Made NPL?
Yeah.
Yes, that's at the library.
Yes. They actually have a forum that's dedicated for podcasting and that. And that's Rockman is actually going to be one of our young men to help start up our podcast for the organization.
Nice.
So he's this is definitely a project we're looking to invest in with him with. And yeah, like I said, we actually went to NPL together and we saw the stuff and we're I think we have the year. We made the year calendar already, didn't we? I think that's
Oh yeah?
yeah, Rock
Yeah.
always.
Wow. So you can start your show right there too using their equipment. You don't even have to buy anything yet. But I know as you grow, you're going to want your own stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to want to be able to set up in your own location. Like where I do mine at home. I have like a room section off just for the podcast, and
Right.
that's how I do it. And you can, it could be your business too, a small
Right.
business. And you can do your taxes, and you can do write-offs, but you want to make sure you're making money too. And the way
Right.
you make money is off of ads.
Yeah.
And you're young, so you'll probably have catchy content, and the advertisers will come to you, and they'll put commercials on like your YouTube shows in between. You won't know what the commercials are or see them, because it'll be once they play. Let's say you have an hour segment, YouTube will throw a commercial in like maybe after 15 minutes of you being live, or you as your show is playing, and the viewer on their end, they see that and they can skip it or whatever.
Right.
The same way you see, if you're watching a YouTube and you don't have YouTube Premium and you skip the ad, that's how it will pop up on your show.
Okay. Okay.
So, and that's
I
how
can see
you get your checks coming in, and you grow your audience. And the way you get guests is you got to talk to people. You got to meet people outside, or if you
Yeah,
see
interact.
somebody online, yeah, you got to send them a message through Messenger and ask them, hey, do you want to be a guest on my show? Some people want to get paid, but I haven't paid anybody yet, because most of what I do is community related.
that. Right.
But maybe I'll get there to some point when I get some more money. But yeah, you invite them on, and that's essentially how it works. And I learned just reaching out to people through Messenger or DMs and Instagram. I learned that through news stations that I work with, doing stories about what's going on in Newark. That's how they
Right.
contacted me. And oh yeah,
I don't mean to jump in too, but nonprofits especially, this these podcasts and everything are extremely important, because it
yeah,
creates called content.
yep,
Right.
And then you're also able to leverage like that organization's followers, for your cause as well, because a lot of times your donors and they want to see the organization doing something. Like
right,
Right.
I was saying before, they see the organization get a lot of money. They see it like, well, what's going on? Because when I do my annual report, like I put like, all right, I was in this show, I did this amount of time.
yes,
Okay, I was at this event, because they're like, okay, well, he's active. He's doing something as well.
Right.
So when you're having the podcast, whether weekly or bi-weekly, it brings an immense amount of, because you're actually able to also document the history of what the organization is doing through it also. With the guests and so it's like a lot of things that podcasts, especially now, they become like the new radio.
yeah, and it really is. It really is, and I know that for a fact, because I was working in radio, and I was working for free, and I'm like, oh man, but in exchange for giving my time, I got to learn a whole lot. I got to see and experience, and like I met some celebrities, but I wasn't there for that. That was cool and everything. I was there to learn, and
Right.
I realized I don't want to work for a radio station.
Yeah. You
I want to
work
do
at
this
podcast.
myself. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like I don't need them, because that's the other thing. When you're like their disc jockey or their host, they own your name.
Right. Right.
They own like stuff that you do, and then there's times where there's events that you have to show up to, and you may not feel like going. But because the radio station put this on, you got to be there. And they're basically, you work for them.
Yeah, like they own your name.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And I mean, you get to network with a lot of people, but it's kind of like, not to sound offensive, but they have you on a leash.
Right.
Mhm.
If you start getting too big, they pull you back and remind you, we own you, and you didn't clear this with us.
Right.
So
Well, I actually have a question for Rockman while it's here too, brother. Because you actually, introduce yourself to number one Shakima and tell her a little bit about yourself, because you have a very unique backstory
Yes.
yourself, and how you even found, the organization.
Okay. My name Ramon. Of course, my name Ramon Turner. Born and raised in Newark. Everybody had their cutaways. They might go out of state for a year or two, come
Mm-hmm.
back. You know, um, I would say I start off with passions. I always had passions for entertainment, but never really known what route I would, you know, try to follow or whatever. Mostly it'd be, I thought about filming. I thought about, music. I got a passion for music currently, so I make music and
Okay.
stuff like that. And so that's another thing we talked about including in the podcast. If the podcast,
Yeah.
yeah, as far as getting started with the podcast, it'll be moments where it's, sections where it could, connect with all audiences and stuff like that. And so,
Nice. And you can even play local artists.
right, true,
And really you guys can create
Talk about
your own entrepreneurship and ownership of yourselves too.
right,
You don't need the big names to latch on to just get put on a leash
right,
and control and have to sign lifestyle clauses where they tell you where you could be and where you can't be, and you can't post this Instagram pic because you didn't get cleared
right.
or permission. That's how it works. I saw it. And I was like, oh no.
Hmm. But yeah, we actually talked about that too. Is that like the first, having a podcast, either the 30 or 1 hour format, and then playing like a Newark artist.
Yes.
At least you want at the end of the podcast to kind of keep people engaged, and to also be able to like pretty much spread the word about new artists also.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think that's a good route. Have your format set up, how you want to do it, and be creative with it. Do what you feel like you think is going to work, and then also evaluate it. Talk to people that's watching your show and listen to them. Don't take anything personal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he got lost. He went off.
Surprise connection went off. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, yeah, and this is a good example too. When he comes back, this is why I do it from the computer, because the mobile connections aren't stable.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just hang up because the bandwidth is too much for it.
Yeah.
We're doing a live stream. It's not like he's on a FaceTime call. It's a live stream, so it's sucking up his bandwidth.
Oh yeah, cause my computer is hooked up to the router.
Mine too. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have. Yep. Mm-hmm. But see, these are investments you have to make. In there, and like what's funny is that in the organization too, I discovered a lot of young men don't know how to type on a computer.
Really?
A lot of them don't know, so they always are on their phones because when they graduate high school, they never had to type on a computer.
Wow. That might be something your program can offer, typing classes.
Well, that's why we're in the library, because the library has computers upstairs used for free.
Yeah.
A lot of time, and that's the interesting thing, right? Because I will give New Jersey this: they have tried to reinvest back into electronic ways of submitting documents, but they're always a generation behind, because like on the computer version of how to submit your stuff for your SNAP benefits and your is better than it was before.
Yeah.
But it's good on the computer. On their phones, they can't. It's hard for you to do anything. It's not.
You know what? I never even tested it on the phone.
Difficult on the phone. It's not that easy.
Wow. And that should be something mentioned to the state, because I thought they tested that before they rolled it out. They should have tested it on PC, on a mobile phone, on a tablet, so that you can see what adjustments you have to make in the coding.
Right. I mean, but even so, it's the
Wow.
everyday people that like, because it's different federal guideline stuff that they need, uh,
Right.
that people might not have, and then you're trying to read. Like, I'll even text you the website for it, so you can kind of go through a little bit yourself. When I'm trying to do it myself, I'm like, man, how do I find out this, and I can't see this and stuff like that. And
Wow.
it's but really, you shouldn't do stuff like that on a phone. You need a screen. You need to
Right.
everything kind of spread out, because even if you put on a phone, you'll have to always scroll down because there's so many questions. This is just stuff that you need a larger surface area to have. Now, I do think
Wow.
that I think that the state maybe needs to designate like libraries and other like social
Yeah.
places with social workers that are given access to help people with the applications. I mean, to process the applications. I need to think they need to decentralize how they're looking to do these applications, and not have it in one centralized place, because
Uh-huh.
I think number one, it's causing a lot of mayhem, and a lot of people can't get to those places. Some people are disabled. Some people try to get,
That's true.
So I think by like really, because these are already government buildings,
Right.
like just put space in a library, that increase the traffic there, and you'll be able to delegate the resources better over there, because that's why we use the library to sign up for resources, then try to
Wow.
get the city to allocate more money so they can have another worker to help read with the children, because a lot of the people are parents. So
Mm.
we already have the structure, they're just not being utilized.
Right. And you know what? Our office was supposed to have like a section with computers set up so people can come in and
Mhm.
do the application.
Yep.
And I don't know what happened to that because I don't see it there anymore.
No.
And I'm like, that was the whole point of us, like with us transitioning to doing the online applications. And I know because I was a part of that rollout.
Mm.
And now, yeah, like you made me think because I never tested it on the phone, and this was prior to the pandemic, probably like a year before the pandemic, and we switched offices. And now that I realize, yeah, I thought they had the computer set up on the first floor,
Right.
but one of the clients told me that like no, they tell you to go and do it somewhere else. And I'm like, wow, because we're supposed to be able to help people apply online right there and scan in their documents right there.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people say they try to go down there, and then it's just, you're right, they get turned away. They get turned away a lot. And once you turn away a person, and when I speak to other people in the community, they're like, all right, well, they just got to toughen up, and they got to just keep on coming back, because I kept on fighting, but that might have been
Right.
somebody else's last bit that they had. Like, I'll never
Yeah.
forget, there was one young man who we sent down to 990, and they said like, no, you have to go to the other building that's not the, like, it's for like work, like youth, like the youth workforce
Yeah.
program. So he didn't have enough money for a bus, so he walked from 990 all the way down to Broad Street, where the new
Wow.
youth work stop was. And then he went there, and then they were saying that, oh well, we can't let you in. And then they turned him away. Luckily, I drove over there, picked him up, because he said, "Listen, Carl, I honestly tried, but like, you have to
Yeah.
walk, and that's a far walk. If you know that walk from
Yeah.
that one, that no, why to have it in like so far apart? That's another story. I don't have
I
no.
don't know. I don't know. And I know we have a shuttle that goes from one of our offices to the other office.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why they don't have a shuttle.
I mean, that'd be perfect, but no, it's not there, and it's one of the things that deter them, because like you spend your whole
Yeah.
day, and you are just, you like say, you're given everything you got to sign up for some of these programs, and the only thing that you want to be treated like is a human, and you can't even
Yeah.
be like that there sometimes.
Yeah.
That story I was telling you about that young man and stuff like that. Uh,
Yeah.
that was a traumatic moment. That's one thing you
Wow.
have a traumatic event for them, because that shaped and altered. Because he was in high, got back to get his GED.
Good.
he was going to get back. Well, he dropped out after that conversation with that lady.
Oh man.
He dropped everything that we had set up for him. We was working with him for. He only had like about a month, some change left. But we get
Wow.
yes, yep, yep. But when he got kicked out from his aunt, and then he stayed. We found him shelter for a little bit to stay. Because there's no, and I think that's something else that the viewers need to know is that after 5 p.m., I think 5 or 6 p.m.,
Uh-huh.
and you're homeless, and you're just brand new homeless. This is your first time experiencing it. You're not going to just walk into a shelter. There's like no walk-in shelters and anything.
Yeah, this lady told me that.
Yes.
I learned about that last week.
Yep, I've been waiting to be corrected for years now. And even when I called down there, to these different house places, yeah, there's no walk-in shelter. If you're you have to wait until the next business day. And if it's Saturday, then that's when you see people in Penn Station and these other places or in emergency room. Because
Right.
the hospital is the only place that's open 24
Right.
hours. You can't even if you have insurance, you can't turn them away.
Right. Wow. Wow. But yeah, I learned about you can't just walk in, and I said, wait a minute, like when did they change that?
Well, remember you get the money, like the general assistance.
Right. They want, that's what I was like thinking to myself. It sounds like a money grab. They want to make sure they're going to get paid. And you know what? It costs more for our agency to pay for somebody to go into a shelter. It's like it used to be. I remember it was $2,500 a month.
Oh yeah.
And this was back in like 2015. I don't know. It had to go up by now.
And it's
probably like 3,000 or 4,000.
And they bunk the people two in a room. Sometimes they double book.
Wow.
Well, they'll kick the person out. Still listed, he's still living there. And then they're able to put another person in there. So now you can say you counted for that person and them being there, because you got to think about it. The people don't know who to go to. They don't know who to escalate to, or when they do escalate it, and especially you have a complex mental health disorder, they're gonna be like,
Right. Yeah.
Like you're right. It is it definitely is unfortunate, and now a lot of people that we meet, because we do direct intervention, when we go out, we speak to people and stuff like that. They tell us these things and we're saying, they were like, nah, no way. And then when you're actually like when I called down there for emergency assistance for them, and they said that, oh, we have to wait till Monday. I'm like, but it's Friday. He has a kid.
What?
No, yeah,
wow.
Tell you, yeah, yep.
Now, does emergency services still let people come in and take showers? Because I remember they did at least let people come in, clean up. They have like shower stalls for that.
I mean, even if they do, yeah.
Okay.
None of the people in my program have utilized it, because they just want it. Because they don't even have the strength to stand up. They're tired. They want to lay down.
Right. Wow, man. Wow.
So he put him a hotel for a while, and then now he moved down south for a while, and he got kicked out from mom's house. But the main issue is that it returned him back to that cycle.
Right.
That's what he was doing before. So that's one thing that we try to tell everybody. Every time you're doing 211 will tell you the same thing.
Exactly. You know what? I wanted to post that because, I wanted to say I called there with the lady one time.
Yep, me too. With the young man on the phone.
And I was like, wait a minute, because they were promoting it. They were sending flyers, have people call 211.
Yep.
First of all, the lady was so mean. The operator was so mean.
She was very nice. She just was just like, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah. But it was, and then it's like, and I feel bad when, like, with that lady, that told me that there were no walk-ins last week for the shelter. She's like, she started crying like it's about to be Thanksgiving, and I felt so bad. Like,
I get pregnant women. I get a lot of my organization. I had 2 or 3 pregnant women giving.
wow.
Saying like, can I just have some? And like you said, there's no, unless you are getting that general assistance voucher, that gives you there. But some of them mess up and say that because they ask you, where do you live? And they say like, oh, well, right now I'm just staying with my aunt or my uncle and everything. Nope. They have a place to live. You also have to understand is that the family structure within our community isn't a blood relative a lot of time. So they might say their cousin or their auntie or something. That could be a family friend that they grew up with for God knows how long. But they are a lot of times on their last whim. So a lot of times they give them like, listen, you got 2 weeks to find out where you're going to stay. I mean, even if you get a job, you got to wait for the job to pay you.
Yeah.
And then for you to apply for a place to stay. That's a whole process. So it's like, they need a transitional housing program or a shelter that can just help them ride out till they can get some of the money. But it's so many hard cutoffs. Nobody listens with the attentive understanding. They listen for a clickable thing, like a one word thing, like, oh, that's it. Not saying like, hey, are you saying aunt? Are you talking about blood relative aunt? Or are you talking about a family member? All right, well, how long have you known this aunt for? Is it stable over there? Is it safe over there? Because, in my incident, the young man and his aunt's boyfriend was fighting and he nearly stabbed the boyfriend. And so they want them to go back to that.
Yeah, and somebody's going to end up in jail, or they both may end up in jail for that.
With the baby, and the baby is sitting right there seeing all of this and stuff like that. So, I went over there and I got him and everything. I de-escalated the situation. But if our program wasn't there, that young man would have probably stabbed that guy. That 4-year-old child he had would have seen that, and he would have got taken away from the system. And then you can only imagine what that young man would have done when he got out of prison. That extra amount first of all, how long is he going to be in prison for? And that little loves his dad. When I tell you that loves his dad, like seeing his dad that angry because that other man was, basically telling him like, hey, listen, like you're a part of this program, but you ain't working, because they don't see school as work.
Okay, got you.
That's another big thing. If you're going to school or support group or program, like a lot of caregivers and caretakers didn't see that as you working. So you get demeaned when you get home, you get pushed when you get home, and be told you're less of a man. And then when you go up incident and everything, then all of a sudden you're criminalized. Because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This when he grabbed a knife, and I was like, hey, so let's not do that in front of me or the baby. And that and these are the conditions they're living with. But once again, when you call those numbers, your 211s are down there, you say one incorrect word, you're out. You're done. And it's not forgiving at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know. And I definitely know. I definitely know. Now, the other thing that I'm like, I've been thinking about lately too, because these beefs within the family, it's like, okay,
generational trauma,
right? But it's like on a grand scale now. Nobody likes each other in the family, like this generation, like our generation. Prior to that, it was like our grandparents or whatever that kept it together. Oh, you better not do that here, or that's not going down here.
Right.
And we all sat at the table and still ate together.
Right.
Whether we liked each other or not, they made sure, but your family, and we're not doing all that. Now, it's like families are kicking their relatives out. Parents are kicking their kids out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you're 18, you're 19, you don't do anything, get out. And they're living on the street. And I'm like, but they're not even prepared for the world.
None is. But you even think about it like this. Remember, when we were born in the 80s and 90s. So that was the crack epidemic started in the late 70s and the beginning of the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and it lasted until maybe the late 90s or the early 2000s.
2000. Yeah.
Manifesto rap. I mean, the crack epidemic was taking our grandmothers out. Like they were taking the pillars in our community out one by one. And what was so devastating was that it was also very targeted at the Black urban population. By, believe it or not, COINTELPRO told us that because they had the unreleased files and they documented how the drugs will flow and traffic into urban communities. And you saw urban decay. You saw, for example, in where we're living at now in Newark, New Jersey,
Yeah.
built roads specifically so that white people can leave out of Newark. The different highways that was made, I think they started doing the highways in the 50s or 60s, I think. Like that great repair was so they could get out of there because a lot of the Black people was moving in there because they were trying to run away from lynchings and deaths that was happening in down south.
Right.
You had the great industrial boom up here.
Right. And they came for the jobs, the opportunities.
Right. But then
and it was so-called integrated.
And then that's what led up to my I'm about to say that. Before we had literally, it was either we stuck together, we died. Because like you couldn't find any other white place to go. In Newark, New Jersey, there was I think it was called Bergman's, Bergman, I think. It was a Jewish establishment and stuff like that. They're very as Black people. We had to make our own shops and stores out of survival. It pushed us to need to be great in spaces where we, like for example, I don't want to create a suit shop. I don't even know nothing about suits. But if I need to make a business to be able to make suits so that me and my people can have suits, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
It pushed a lot of us outside of what we really, really wanted to do. But then it made great businesses and it made us stick together. But then you see the desegregation and you see in us being able to now commingle with a lot of them, not knowing that they still didn't want us there. It was just illegal for them to kick us out.
Right.
So it's like, I forgot what I just said, but how does it feel to be a problem?
Wow.
You know? Like,
wow. Oh man, that's deep.
Yeah, I forgot.
Because that's what's happening within the families.
Yes. You feel
people,
like a problem.
Yeah.
And you just got here. You're like, listen, I'm just trying to figure this out. You know
right.
what I'm saying? And so I'm a part of another male support group that meets every Wednesday. And, and I also talk to some of the caregivers as well. And I see the dichotomy when it's like the mother and the father that's having, the arguments and then the turmoil. But then, especially if if it's a young man, especially, a lot of times the young man resembles their father in any way. Oh, it's that young man in little hell.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And they literally, all they want to do is be loved.
And so how can we get back to that point?
I think rebuilding of our community systems and resources is important. Because before we had the Black church, right?
Yeah.
A more agnostic approach where it was open acceptance to different people. That's a central point. And then people religiously going there. I mean, no pun intended. But, consistently going there and showing that place where, like, for example, for our support group, we bring doctors, we bring data scientists, lawyers down there, and we tell them to keep on coming back because that is the bridge. Because remember, when you went to church, you saw the doctor, you saw the banker.
Yeah, everybody was there.
Yeah, I can't tell you the name of my banker. I'm a person that own my property, but people don't know the landlords. So we have to rebuild the kind of the community watering hole where everybody at least for once out the week, and people can say like, oh, how's X, Y, and Z doing? And it has to start with the people that's the parents, because the children will continue to copy what they see,
right?
Because that's how they learn,
right?
So if they begin to see us doing, and also children are very, very outspoken. They're like, we ain't going to such and such today. What's going on? That's, I believe, how we really have to build it up. Because right now we're all just working in these independent kind of silos.
Yeah, silos. Like we don't need each other.
Right.
And then in order for you to grow and what you're doing, you have to network.
You have to network. Yeah, that's why I went to Afrotech. When I tell you Afrotech, man, I
I
mean,
gotta go. You said I gotta go. It
yeah,
sounds like I like it too.
yeah, I'm gonna write and try to get a grant to bring some of my young men down there. But an Afrotech kind of place in Newark is what's needed. Where when you went in there, first of all, you had a plethora of resources.
Right.
Morgan, Google, automated car company, everybody in the big tech world was there, and you saw a lot of black people that was just there just to be like, I want to. I'm just happy that you came. I'm just happy
Wow.
here. I'm like, and they played Afro beats. There was great networking events. I mean, there's still people that I still message today. I met some of the top execs of like Wells Fargo, J.P.
Oh
Morgan
man.
that were black.
Nice.
They were black
Nice.
people, and they're like, "Oh, listen. I want your organization to write for this. Like when you get home and you get some time, write for this." Now all of a sudden my young men are going to be able to benefit and their family's going to benefit from that connection. But what if we came down there 10 to 15 of us and each
Right.
took a company, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's stuff like that helps build our community back, because we don't have to live like this at all, and we don't have to be the problem. We can be the solution.
Exactly. I'd rather be the solution. And part of my reason too for staying in Newark is because so many of our talented people move out.
Yeah.
So I like the talent is taken away and they're in other towns,
Right.
and our youth aren't seeing the doctors or the lawyers here because people felt like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm out of here. But I realize if we keep moving out,
Mm-hmm.
it won't change because there's no example that it can be more than what it is.
Right.
You know, there's nobody inspiring like the young man Rahman.
Mm-hmm.
Rahman, that's how you pronounce it. I was calling him Rahman.
Yeah, you added a K and I just went with it.
Yeah, because no, it's in Islam. That's how you pronounce it. The H. So that's why I thought.
I'm like, yo,
I wanted to show him respect. I thought, and when he said it the other way, I'm like, oh, okay.
You know, but like I said, I didn't help either because I'm just rocking with it.
Right.
Every week, and he's like, "Wow, when did you start calling me that?" I'm like, I don't know.
Like that's important to get somebody's name right. Oh man, I gotta give him an apology for that.
He probably gonna call me later tonight.
But yeah, all right, tell him I apologize, but I gotta give him a face-to-face one too. But yeah, we gotta stop like running away.
Yeah.
Because we go into other communities and we don't even get to experience that life that we thought we were going to experience because we're dealing with other issues. We're dealing with the fact that we're an outsider.
Right.
We're dealing with the fact that, you know, we don't have the same bonds that the people who were already there have with each other.
Right.
And we're like discounting our own family and our ties that we have in the communities that we grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, yeah, we got some relatives that do their own thing and kind of act out, but that shouldn't determine whether you're going to stay and build.
Right.
You know, because you can't, that's a part of life and building and growing.
Right. That's living. Living is always easy. And I think that's something I wish that we was taught earlier in life as well.
Yeah.
This struggle, even that we're going through, because that we're having to fight with, like that helps you live. Like that, like
yeah.
You know, when you're working out, you feel your muscles are ripping. And
right.
You're sore in the morning, but you're able to grow. And I think that isn't taught a lot of times too, about the resiliency and the brilliance of breaking through.
Yeah.
But we have to learn, like, one of the things that I teach my young men is that how do you do your calendar, your schedule. Like, I put, like, for example, 8 a.m. To 12 a.m. I put as sleep time, and then let's say 11 p.m. till 12 a.m. is
Uh-huh.
sleep. So block that out. And so I said,
Right.
in between this time, what are we doing? We're waking up, we're walking through his day, because at least that time you could start saying that now we're able to put a name to an hour that gives you purpose. Now you're like,
Yeah.
hey, and what happens that becomes sort of like their weekly log and journal, because then after you do this exercise for about 3 to 4 months, you'll ever look back, you're like, man, I got that thing for like my welfare taken care of. I went to this amount of therapy sessions. I went about that. That's the way of
Mm-hmm.
documentation. And now you'd be like, oh, I didn't just waste my time just lollygagging. Each day
Yep.
I woke up, there was a plan. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things why and then I'm also a project manager, so I'm kind of obsessed with, like, you know what I'm saying, calendars and stuff.
I was about to ask you, were you in the military or something?
Right. I am kind of
But
obsessed with, like, I'm like,
but
hey, can I
that's
share a calendar?
that makes sense. Project management, yeah. Because see, and I do that same thing, but I had relatives who were in the military,
Yeah.
and that's how they teach them. You have to have that schedule
Hmm.
for your whole day, and you know what it also does too. When you do have it all planned out, and if you don't do what you were supposed to do, you hold yourself accountable because you look back and say, you know what, I was supposed to do this at 3:30. I didn't do it. And you know it's you. I didn't do it. Why didn't I do it? Because I was playing around on a video game, or
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know, or I ran into a friend and we started shooting hoops. But
Yeah.
then you know too, all right, I got to get back to this.
Right.
It makes you self accountable. So you don't need anybody on your back. And you
Yeah.
won't have anybody on your back because you're like, hey, I already have everything mapped out. Let me
Yeah.
let me tell you, my life with my grandmother, she was in they had like she was in women's military. But they didn't do I forgot what they were doing. But she had an almanac. She would look at the weather. She would have our clothes out for 2 weeks in advance before we would wear them.
Wow.
And all we had to do was get up,
It was
get dressed.
like
Yeah.
clockwork. Yep.
Yeah. And she did this. It was easy. And like when I tried not having everything mapped out like that, it was chaotic for me.
Yeah.
Because now I got to think about what shirt goes what color am I wearing today? Is it raining? Do I need a coat?
Yep. 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 It's chaotic. Yep. And I was never, my grandmother was, my grandmother big a routine. So I would wake up every day and it was the same routine over and over and over again. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that a lot of our times when I have like consistency, we'll know what
Yeah.
it looks like.
Yeah.
Because like I said, when you're when you're trying to survive, you don't have time to think and strategize, especially if you're hungry.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
but it's nothing better than having a system. And I think, especially as you get older, you start to put like so much more emphasis on it, because you, like, each day that passes away, that's another day gone. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Yeah.
You want to make sure your life like means something. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, man, is that you see that the people that have been able to invest in systems and they got like kind of this pace of rhythm in life, you start to see happiness a little bit more in them.
Yeah, you do. You do. And then when problems come up, you can confront the problem because you already got this taken care of.
Mhm.
You don't have to worry about the clothes being laid out and what you're going to wear for that whole week. That's already done.
Yep.
And you can deal with the problem. But now when you don't have any structure and then problems hit you,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like I got to experience it because I felt like Oh man, this is OCD. Let me try something different.
Yep.
Let me see what it's like. No, man, I was like, oh, this is too chaotic for me.
Oh yeah. Like I feel like unfortunately I had a lot of my people that work with me that had a lot. Like I started to give them anxiety because it's a lot. You know, like especially when you're trying to lead an organization, you're starting something up. You have to look at. You have to also consume a lot of information.
Oh yeah.
Because when you are
Yeah.
starting an organization and you're heading it, you have to look at like what somebody just wrote in the chat. Housing is now forcing people out that don't want to leave, simply can't afford to stay. I mean, that information made me think like, well, wait a minute, three of my young men are on public housing, or two young men with mothers housing. Are they impacted? Well, now I have to call the person I know that might be that's in NH Newark Housing Authority and confirm that. And so you have this
Yeah.
enormous amount of information you have to process and tinker with because you have to try to plan ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite. I swear I have like 20 journals for different things. I have where I would, like how you said, write a note so I could come back to it and see what's going on, and then I'll check it off in my journal once it's done. I got a journal for work. I got a journal for doing my laundry.
Mm-hmm. And I filled up one journal. I have so much stuff that happens a day. I filled up one journal and I've been trying to go back to it and see all those notes. So I started another journal. You start to write books after a while.
Yeah. Yeah. But it keeps me organized. And we have to have structure and be organized, and we have to manage our own time because, like you said, as you get older, that time is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to waste your time.
Oh yeah.
You don't even have time to waste.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
So I mean, yeah, wow. The housing situation that's another terrible thing that's going on, and a lot of people are going through it.
And it's a lot of empty lots out there too. And I think that's the hurtful thing is that you have land. And but then this is the other thing is that we have a skills deficit, meaning people that knows how to build houses, knows how to run pipes, who knows how to do plumbing and do electrical work. I mean, there's only a handful of master electricians even in New Jersey.
Right.
Still in think the triple digits of master not triple, maybe maybe like in maybe the early thousands. But you think how long the electrician trade has been around.
Right.
Black master technicians are there.
So how do we try to get interest in these areas? Because what makes me so I get disheartened at the fact that people want to go into they want to be a millionaire. Or go into entertainment so much, and it's like when you really see what it is, you're not going to want to be there.
Right.
And how much of your freedom you have to give up.
Right.
And with sports, everybody's not gonna, make the cut because your physique and all that other kind of stuff, and you're competing with a limited amount of spots.
Yep.
It's not like it's unlimited teams. There's only a certain amount of teams, a certain amount of people that they're going to draft every year.
Right.
And people really, that's their go-to. Oh, I'm going to do that. But what if that doesn't take off or you don't get picked? Because that is kind of a lottery. If you have 1,000 young men who are great at basketball, but only 50 spots, that means, only 950 of you are not going to make it.
And get this, you could go into and there's not enough investment in local teams because there's local teams, not just the big.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah, right.
You got the overseas. You got all these other plethora of ways, and to make sure that if, let's say, you are just, because like I said, only about a certain amount of the elite that gets to those levels. But there are
Right.
different leagues that are underrepresented and underfunded. That, like I said, maybe you work a part-time job and you do the league, you get paid $1,000 every 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think Newark, even has a league. Or if it doesn't, I think that's going to be crazy if it doesn't, because you have all these young men out here. But yeah, like you have so much out here to be able to support. Because remember when the
It,
Nets came in for a minute?
yeah. Oh, I love that. I loved it. That was nice, man.
The need
Got
out
to see.
there.
I got to see some Nets games. Yeah, right downtown. That was so convenient.
Yes, yeah.
And
Oh,
that's not
God.
even my team, but the convenience. I could go see my team play them and just
So,
go check them out, just to chill out and watch the game.
right,
But I also realized too, there's a sea of opportunity out there.
right.
A sea, like so much that can be brought into Newark, that these, like, our youth can go out there, knowledge and skills to get, like Ramon said, trade school. There's so many opportunities out there.
Yeah,
And I'm like, why would you just want to limit yourself?
right. Well, a lot of times, especially when you are, I mean, like the one of the biggest things that we see with the guys, that they recidivate a lot because, once again, you have not changed your social circle. You know,
Uh,
it's sort of that old saying: for every new level, there's a new devil. But that's why I was saying
oh,
angels. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
That's why a lot of times we start with the support group and we have them network with Apple employees, Google employees. Like start understand, and that's why I started doing their schedules too, because they said, like, start blocking out time for healing.
Right.
One of the things that we also are looking to invest in is getting our young men yoga. We were trying to do in October, trying to get, like, finishing up the grants to get it out there. But they need different ways to start to change the neural pathways, like
Yeah.
the traumatic events that caused and I don't know why a lot of time women are better at it. I'm still trying to break down the science today, because I give women the same exact resources I give my young men. They take off with it. They just boom, whether they got a kid or not. Uh,
Yeah, we listened.
I just mind you, I don't have to call them ever again. I'm like, hey, here's the phone number for them. They got the director's number after that. They meet the director's wife and everything. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like,
The
what?
light bulb goes off like, oh, wow, Quad told me something I didn't know. I'm getting on this quick.
Yeah, they're on it and they're engaged.
Yeah.
But whatever the case may be, we got to put in a little more work for our young men. So we're trying to, number one, fundraise for a consistent case manager to be with there, but then also for them to invest in yoga, for them to at least do it once a year, because they need to know how to sit still and recenter themselves. Because
Oh, I like that.
a lot of them say, like, yo, my mind is always going on 100 miles per hour each time. So if you're
Wow.
miles per hour each time, and then I add a job that you need for survival to live off of,
Wow.
it's even at another place, and you burn out, and then you're going back to the only thing you know how to. So really learning different ways how to, whether it's building a consistent workout routine for them, or building consistent meditation for them, and building incentives for them to make sure they're doing that. That's what we have to do, and that's what we have to invest in. They need consistency, and they need to learn how to center themselves so that they can be able to consistently carry out some of these things we need them to do.
Oh, wow, man. I like that yoga piece though.
Oh yeah, I
I
did yoga
like that.
2 weeks. When I tell you, even like my breathing like got better. Um, I listen to lo-fi a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
I just like turn off the computer, be in my office, and I was listening to lo-fi for like 15 minutes and breathe, like just to reset. Um,
Mm.
Even if you have attention deficit disorder, some kind of neurodegenerative disability, like being able to get back to the basics of breathing, because there's different types of yoga. There's sound yoga. There's like there's hot yoga.
Okay.
Breathing and be able to breathe and learn how to breathe is essential. And we're looking to do a partnership with That's So Yoga. If you guys don't know it, definitely check them out. It's owned by a Black woman, and she's phenomenal.
Nice.
Look it up. Try to do it. Like if you don't go to church, use Sunday as a meditation day, and just learn how to recenter yourself, because that's how a lot of it changed. You got to build some kind of something that is consistent that you could do repetitively and build off of that habit.
Wow. So are a lot of the young men, what are they going through? Because I see like I see not good things happening with the young men. I really see when I'm out and I see people sleeping in the streets,
right,
asking for change. I see men out there.
Right.
And
right.
I'm like, well, what happened?
Right.
Where I know, like in my father's time, they're going to pick up a hammer or move some furniture to make some money. They don't have that. They didn't have, like,
right.
I don't know what to call it.
Right.
Because I don't want to promote being prideful and not asking for help. But they were a little bit more of go-getters.
Right.
Now it's just
right.
I'm done. And it's like, man, how you gonna be done? We don't want you to be done. We need you to keep fighting through this.
Right. So I think there's another way. So as you talked earlier, a lot of the social safety nets that we had that was non-governmental was so you see the erosion of the social safety net that, all right, I might, I could always go to Big Mama's house. You know what I'm saying? If
Okay.
I can go. I'll go to Big Mama's house and have a reset,
Okay.
So the erosion of that social safety net for us to build off of is also the potency and also the age that children are using drugs are younger. Going to the high schools because they're having overdoses now.
Wow.
So now, and remember, if you use drugs even if it's weed or marijuana, which, I get this medicinal and everything, which is fine, but you have 13 or 14-year-olds, 12-year-olds smoking weed now. And they don't understand that whenever you use like a mind-altering drug.
Yeah, that's too young.
Yeah, and your mind hasn't fully developed. Like,
yeah,
the reason why a lot of stuff they say you gotta wait till 21 or older, because you gotta let your mind form and develop first. Like, permanently scarring a lot of the stuff in your mind. That's the most important engine. Like, for example, there's this thing called Trink now. I don't know if you know, I've heard of it before. Trink is a drug where it is like, I think, fentanyl and xylazine mixed.
Whoa.
And they shoot it up. You know what I'm saying? And it's horse tranquilizer.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually a horse tranquilizer. So they mix like a horse tranquilizer up with other drugs. And it literally decays. The drug is called xylazine. So it's a non-opioid medication. And it's a sedative to help relax your muscles. But they're mixing it with these other drugs and they're shooting it up, and it leads to decay. Like literally, like you're seeing decay of your muscle.
Oh wow!
But it's super addictive, super potent, and you OD on it like out of nowhere. So like that's a big thing that's been now widespread now. I mean, if you look online and Google Trink, xylazine, and stuff like that, it's an awful drug. And now what a lot of people are doing is that they're using drugs that the people who works with animals, like the veterinarians.
Yeah.
Like the horse tranquilizer one, Trink, that one is used for like for horses. But remember, like medication as for animals aren't regulated like medication as
right for people. Like right.
You could go over there and pay somebody who works at at an animal shop, and they can give you for stuff. So you start to from heroin to the crack epidemics to like the hard to these drugs that deals with to like their your opioids and everything. And now you're seeing illicit medication that's used for animals. Now they're experimenting with because of it's not much regulation in there. So it's
Wow.
how are we governing our these different populations, and how we're vilifying like addiction and drug use versus taking an approach where, you know, of course, like children that's in high school just shouldn't have this stuff, but
Yeah, they shouldn't.
you shouldn't have this stuff at all. You know, but at the end of the day, like you have to make sure that you're taking it at an approach where number one, what's the surrounding, what's the area, where's the space at right now where they're at that's causing them, because a lot of these kids don't got nothing to do. You know,
So is that, yeah, I was going to ask you, why the interest in drugs? Like,
yeah, before.
why would a kid be interested in taking fentanyl or a horse tranquilizer?
Well, first of all, they don't think of it as a. They see their friends do it. 'Cause a lot of times, like you know,
Okay,
like all right, if my
so
friend,
this is the peer pressure.
yeah, it's peer pressure, and it's also surrounding. Once again, the kids got free time. You know, like there's no pipeline program for. First of all, like to get an after school program to put your kid in is like a mortgage, basically. Like you know, and they have the Abbott school, but they fill up all the time. Like my friend
Wow.
filled up during the summertime where they said, like you know, like listen, can I just drop my kid off? Can he just like stay with you guys just for a minute? And this is me being fresh off of my first bed rest, and
Right.
I just finished up with the Color Street Summer Fair, and so I was already at like 50%. But then that led into the summer, and you seen a spike in cars being stolen.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, my son just stole a car. Please, like, can we be a part of your program? So I don't have a case manager. We're trying to get one. We're trying to fundraise for one, but that's a process. That's a thing. So they just don't have anything to do. You know, idle time is the devil's playground.
Wow.
Even we want to play football, you got to pay for the equipment. Like
Yeah.
these parents a lot of times they are struggling with just feeding their children.
Yeah.
Extracurricular, who's busting them to and from places? You know, like where's
Wow.
and bringing them to these places. You bring your son to these places, and then a person don't pick up the phone. Now you're scared.
Right.
Now you're trying to catch an Uber over there. It's going to cost you $30, $40 because it's rush hour. Where a person, oh my bad, I had a do not disturb. Why don't y'all got a secretary? Like why don't y'all? Somebody?
Yeah.
So it's all these things these parents are going through because they're like, listen, like,
Man.
and then it's your child. You know, there's got
Yeah.
sexual abuse things that are happening in North because these kids are from this disadvantaged areas. Their families don't got resources for a lawyer. So I mean, there's a lot of issues. I would definitely say that.
Yeah.
Is coordination and reinvestment in both the private and when I mean a private public partnership, I mean you have an organization like us, right?
Right. Right.
Apple is a private organization. They have today at Apple, right? And we have the city, and the city has not only buses, but they have resources that can help with logistics. You
Right.
know, we're the ones to help organize it, create the program, make sure North just gives us the logistics. Like, hey, listen, we'll give you a bus to take your young men to the Apple sessions, and
Right.
Apple also pays gives a for every hour their people are doing volunteer work, they donate to nonprofits. So
Nice.
young men could go over there, or they could be met with an Apple person. They get top level training from a person for free. And now that young man for an hour out of his day or 3 hours, because you can take as many classes as you want, and you can learn robotics and everything for free.
That's an awesome experience.
But that's his coordination because we have to set up a referral system. I put a referral in for the city. Our system has to go to a bucket that somebody works, and then they have to time. That's all logistics, but that's
right.
Partnerships are needed, and that's where it's not at. We've been trying to build partnerships and things for years, but having other organizations invested in doing that, because that takes money. Because to build a, like for example, my customer resource management system, the system I use to handle my clients, my volunteers, my people, is called HubSpot.
Oh, okay.
So HubSpot helps us do our data reporting and all those referrals and everything. But if I wanted to make a connection with, let's say, Department of Children and Family Services, that means they probably have to hire an engineer to like have a secure portal to us to send that referral through, because sometimes there's very like sensitive information being sent.
Yeah.
So you see how kind of complex now that gets.
Yeah.
Where versus I could just send you an email, but we know how crazy emails get.
Yeah, especially if you have thousands.
Mm-hmm. So it takes a lot of coordination, a lot of investment.
It does.
Time. And then you have a new nonprofit starting up in the city. I feel like every day that's
Yeah.
the same thing. There's no centralized places bring this all together to coordinate the resources so that all of us can make sure that, oh, snap. Okay, well, there's another. When I first started Brother Build a Better Nation, I brought it to different organizations. I was like, hey, listen. Like,
yeah, you were out there, man, networking. You were.
I did not want to start this nonprofit at all. I'm like, listen, can somebody else just, like, this is your vision. This is your mission, our aim. But there wasn't a lot of in-person male support groups. A lot of them was going there and they wasn't giving the men the resources they needed. So, that's the birth of minds. But, if we had better accountability and coordination,
yes,
a lot of these things start to get better.
I agree with that. And I just feel so like useless sometimes working for my agency because I know what's happening shouldn't be happening. And I'm not in a position to make it right.
Right. But not
not
yet. That's
I mean, I'm still trying.
Yep.
But
all the time. It's the soldiers in the battlefield. You never know when your number's going to be called, but when it's called, you'll be ready.
Yeah, because I see a lot, and I have other coworkers that are out there in the community and trying to help, and we're just looking at each other like, we gotta figure this out. We gotta figure out what more can we do? Because you never give up. It's like, all right, we gotta find another angle now.
Right.
Let's go back to the drawing board. We'll go back to doing what we were doing too, focus on other stuff, and then come back and regroup. But it's like I really, and I hate that feeling because I know something can be done.
But I think that's the beauty in even like us connect, because even how we connected, we got connected from a person that I knew that I went to list with. So it was the leadership institute for the what does LIST stand for? I
forgot. I did LIST too, but I didn't do it the year you did it.
Yeah,
it was
Initiatives Corporation. That's what it is.
Yep, they had some great stuff. Oh man, I learned. I took some good skills away from them too.
Me too. So and I got to learn that because the old executive director for La Casa no longer there.
Oh wow.
He recommended me to the program. So then by me, because I was doing all this work and I was always, and how did I even meet him? I think I was trying to start the nonprofit up, but I kept on hitting, like roadblocks. So then I think I reached out to like my councilwoman, and then she knew some, like one of the guys, his name was Freddie. He introduced me to him. Who they
right.
Well, I met, the Reverend. And then the Reverend introduced me to you. And then
Reverend Aaron Frazier.
Exactly. Yep, Deacon Frazier, yeah.
Deacon. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Deacon. Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry I messed it up to all my church people.
I know I ain't no Deacon. I'm like, all right, my bad. No, he's like, I know I ain't no Reverend. But
we elevated him though.
But now I'm in if not this week or maybe a week after, in meeting with your the director of your organization.
And that's good.
Exactly. So it's like all of us is constantly it's all these little connections that change. But I feel like we do these changes when our heart's in the right place and in the right place. Because I feel as though our treasure is waiting for us at the end of the road. We just kind of have to go through that long winding road.
Exactly.
Because we have to learn the lessons in the place. Because if every young man just came to my organization and automatically got housing, now I'm like, all right, great, cool. I wouldn't have learned half the stuff I would have known, from grant writing to fundraising to negotiating to to building better systems and stuff like that.
Yes.
But by going through these constant learning opportunities, I was able to grow.
Wow. And that's the whole point of going through it. Like, I hope
The process.
our inspired youth who was on earlier, I hope he keeps going, because he's gonna grow through it. He'll start it, it'll be one way, then 5 years from now, it'll be advanced. He'll add more stuff, change some things up, because he's doing that formative evaluation as he's going along. And it might be something where in 10 years we're like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Because one thing, because the thing is, what as we were talking to him with, is that he can, because a lot of times, like I said, things like this podcast is so essential for organizations like myself, and to be able to, and I tell a lot of guys who are in their 20s, they don't understand like the power in their presence.
Yeah.
Like, I got brothers who are 50, 60 years old who are dying to speak to them and everything, because they're young, and that they can make sure that they can tell. Like, I tell everybody all the time, I'm trying to warn you guys all the stuff not to do. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I was excited.
I already got like 5 or 6 brothers who are willing to do the podcast with them, who are entrepreneurs, doctors, business owners. Already
He
lined
got
up.
his guest right there. And
They've been waiting to meet him.
right. And I was waiting too. I was excited that he came on,
Yeah.
because I want him to succeed. I want him to excel. Like I told him, he is the future.
Yes, and that energy is a lot of times they don't feel, because a lot of times they don't feel like, well, what am I even here for? Because what we talked about before is that if they're seen as a problem to just the people that was like raised them, then that makes you think like, then there's nobody out here that really is for my prayer. Because if the person that birthed me can't get rid of me, then how can a stranger love me? You know what I'm saying? Well, I said like, no, there's a whole village out there to see that can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
Not long enough to see him. Like, bringing a few of them to Afrotech so he could be immersed with Black positivity. Because this year I went to a lot of conferences. I don't know if you've been to a lot of conferences, sis, but
yeah.
Oh my God.
I love conferences. I need more time to do more.
I've stole time. I've stole time away. I've let me tell you something. My job is like, hey, you got this big project. I got my mental health.
Yeah, that's the mental health right there, the conference.
Yeah, and it really restored me. And next year I plan already. I think I went to 1, 2, 3 this year. I plan to do like 3 or 4 next year. I already bought my Afrotech ticket.
Oh wow! You got to send me the link so I can get that, so I can get mine. So
yeah. Listen, and the thing is, when you go into these conferences, because this is the whole thing too. Your first conference that you go to, you're not gonna know what to do, even if you prepare, even if you try to plan, because it's a new experience and everything.
Right.
So what I've learned is that you got to be kind to yourself when you are going through new experiences. Allow yourself to learn, and allow yourself just to attend, learn how to talk, connect with people. Maybe have a virtual card to like pass out.
Yeah.
But then just go and explore, and then after you're done with the experience, then that's when you can sit down and put your lessons learned. Because I beat myself up a lot because I'm like, man, I should have went then. I should have had more productivity. And then I sat down. I'm like, well, what was I gonna? I've never did this before. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was doing so much that I thought that every time that I did something, it had to go perfect. And that's just not how the world is. You got to go into a space and allow yourself just to wander a little bit, and then just absorb, read things, ask questions. And then you could prepare for next time.
Wow. Now, let me ask you, is that a guy thing? Or that's you? Because I go through this with my son.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he thinks he has to be an expert right off the bat. And I'm like, why? I'm like, he's 9 years old. And I'm asking him because he gets frustrated if he doesn't do something and he's not perfect at it. And I'm like, Pooh, this is your first time doing this.
Right.
Why
Well,
do you expect yourself to be an expert? I don't get it.
right. You've never seen the scene where you're like, yeah.
Right. And I'm like,
gets. Yeah. You got to know when.
and I'm trying to figure out how to help him through that. And I'm like, and you mentioned going through that, and I'm like, is this okay? Is that a guy thing or?
So when you're doing a learning experience, it hurts your brain a lot because you're forming new memories, new
Okay.
happen. So it's like, first of all, you're trying to do something, and now it's starting to hurt your head, but you don't want to quit it.
Right.
But you don't know how to breathe. You know what I'm saying? So instead of like when you're in school, right? One of the best things to do is that you read for 30, 45 minutes, then you take a nap, because then and finally, like, that's what memories are formed. That's how you learn skill. Like when I first learn how to tie a tie. I mean, all day, obsessed with it. Like I'm want to learn this thing. Couldn't do it. Then all of a sudden, I said, all right. I went to sleep, woke up. I started learning how to tie ties ever since. It's just things how our brain works. Is like that's why rest is so important. I mean, if my spouse was on here, like the pot calling the kettle black. But you don't sleep now. What are you talking about? But we are able to be in that space. Taking those 30-minute naps throughout the day is actually super important because it allows that mind to reset and really.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to major in neuroscience when I was at Rutgers, so I was fascinated with learning the brains.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So, like, I've been really fascinated lately about how we learn. But, yeah, giving your mind those abilities to kind of be like, all right, this is difficult. This is tough. Let me, number one, read the guide, look at the guide, go to sleep, take a nap, drink a lot of water, and then try to process it. Because now you're gearing your body up to learn. And carry out the task. So it's like, us men got to learn how to be patient. Like, I think it's just patience at the end of the day.
Yeah, because it'll be a game too, like a new game. And he won't read the instructions. And I'm like, how? And then he's up there. You can tell, like, I can tell how he's maneuvering in the game. He didn't read the instructions. And I'm like, do you want me to explain it? He's like, no, I got it. And I'm like,
you don't got it.
Right. And I'm like, I got to go through a whole lesson with him. And I'm like, I know he doesn't want to hear this, but.
You know what's funny is that my mom overhelps my little brother, because I could tell when one of my little brothers, right, he thinks similar to how I do, is that sometimes I'm doing something and then I'll stop and I'll stare at it because I'm processing, I'm learning. That's a very sacred space for me. I want to just be in there because you're just trying to process things. Any noise, any outside voice throws you off. So then my mom jumps in. She's like, well, have you tried that? Did this? Throws him all off. He's all over the place now. Panic ensues and everything. So one time I said, hey, just give him a minute and everything. And he just stayed because he was trying to fix the couch. He was trying to put like an IKEA couch up. IKEA, anything's a project. I think we should do a co-sponsor with IKEA because they'll keep our young men working every day.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, just a second. You know what I'm saying? Let him, like, he's just processing things right now. He picked up something, mixed it up, put it back down, unscrewed it. It took him 4 hours, but he went through that process. And
right.
I was like, so how do you feel now? He said, I feel great and everything. It was a lot less anxiety. So it's like also like where when I tell my mom, I said, I understand it because my mom still sees him as like me too sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie. We see him as like the 4 or 5 year old Jalil. Like the
baby.
Who like needs help. Like you can't say to the baby like, hey, you better cook that, you know what I'm saying, get that up and stuff running. But like now when they're like, in the teens or in their late teens, and now that they are more independent and more, you got to just let them go through their learning process.
Right.
It's painful because you're like, man, you've been fixing that for like 3 hours now. That could be in his bliss. Because
My son would never do that. I have to put the stuff together by myself.
Listen, that
And
empathy,
and that right there, that's his limit. He's like, I'm like, you want to help me? Oh nah, you could do that. I'm like,
he said, I believe in you.
right, he's like, you got this, and I'm like, oh man, you make me build the furniture by myself for you.
Right, listen, when I built all the IKEA, all the other stuff, that was me. I didn't get this empathy like he was getting. That's all. Like, what you want today? Let that grown man fix that stuff.
But I know he's watching though, so you know what though? I'm like, that's probably his processing too. And when he's at a point where I'm not there, that's probably when he's going to apply himself.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. I
Right.
don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know in 10 years.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
I'm like, oh, he's building houses now. Remember? He wouldn't even put the IKEA bookshelf together.
Right.
But that positive exposure though is what the kids need though. That's what they definitely need, especially our young men, because man, getting into stealing cars, that's not productive. That's not constructive either.
Yeah.
You know, so and we don't want them to start on that path because that's also a stigma,
Yeah.
discrimination,
Yeah.
and we don't want them to feel like they're good at that either, where they're just like, well, I can go steal a car and somebody pays me under the table.
Or being a mechanic.
Yeah, right.
But you know something, I had a conversation with one of the guys in my organization because you know, when I had to take a leave of absence, it was like obviously the support groups was going on. And you know, he says something that struck me. He says, like, all you gotta think about, understand is that the guys that showed us this stuff, they were engaging. They messaged us every day. They paid for our lunch. They looked out
Mm,
that level of engagement. So these brothers out here who are either dealing the drugs and stuff like that, they're engaging. They are
wow.
they're coming to the brothers' basketball games. They're cheering them on and stuff like that. We are absent.
Wow.
So that's the thing.
So we have to compete with that,
Yeah.
which you know is reasonable though.
Yeah, one of the guys said, like, listen, all I wanted was my dad to come to one of my basketball practices. Guys from the streets came.
Wow, yeah, man, that's deep.
Yep. Now, mind you, they got a lot of, you know, they have a lot of time and they kind of live a little chaotic lives. So they kind of go when, you know, a
Right,
lot
but they gave them that attention.
of attention though. Right. Yeah. So it's like, you know, like, yeah, the basketballs is at 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm still at work. I'm still doing meetings and stuff like that. But that brother in the streets is making time for that young man to go there to cheer him on. So it's,
Wow.
wait a minute, you know, so yeah, like they said, yeah, when they said like, hey, listen, deal this, do that, and I give you money, and then they hired them, right?
Wow.
As one drug, they said, listen, like, you know, and then they gave them. So it's like when he was saying that to me, it's like I was like, yeah, that's right. It's the power of our presence that once again we don't really see the power behind it, but it's there. And the young men are watching us, and they want to be around. Like they want our support groups to be 3 days a week. I don't
Wow.
basically do 3 days a week, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but they really just want more engagement, and we're not. That's not being addressed. That's not being fulfilled.
Wow, man. So that's how we compete then.
Yeah. Yep. Because they showed them care. They showed them, you know, empathy. They made sure that their moms was fed. You know, like I said, they took care. They took care. And now, like I said, whether it came from nefarious things or not, once again, they stepped up when they called down for social services and they hung up the phone. That brother that's selling the block didn't hang up the phone to him.
Right.
What did they say? I got you. and that's all
Yeah.
they hear. But
And
then,
that's important.
right, that's all they want, and I don't think that is what you call it hard at all. So like,
No, it's not. It's not like we could definitely compete with that.
yeah,
We can definitely answer the phone and explain and say, okay, look, this is what you have to do. This is what you need.
mm-hmm.
This is the resource over here.
Yep. Oh, oh, you need to come over here. All right, we got a voucher for you to come down here. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get you in there. Because like, even think about the county. The county can set up a program with, a partner with these big logistic companies or one of these nonprofits to help with the logistics to
Exactly.
down there. Because some people they want to get to these like even getting like the transportation. Transportation is a huge issue. So just saying like, hey, listen, you got a one-time voucher to get down here. Get down here. We have a case manager down here for you. Let's get you hooked up with everything. Let's get you
Right.
hooked up. Let's get you ready. Let's get you stay. Let's get you some food. Let's get you a community bank to get you some
Yeah.
food supplies.
Yeah.
And we look to get you some therapy and some training afterwards. That's what
Wow, man. Man. Wow. That you gave me something to think about too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But once they have the experience of the door being shut in their face, they never forget it because it's like for them, first of all, it's once again men dealing with our pride, but they don't like the feeling
Yeah.
of being thrown away.
Oh man. That's crazy.
Yep. And it sounds just simple, like, yeah, of course. And if there's anybody that works in social services out here who say like, well, I know I'm not doing it and stuff like that, right? But have you heard somebody, your next door person, say that to them? Because that one person might have hung up on a person that's now robbing somebody that you really love because they needed food.
Yeah, and that's how I think when I'm talking to people. I'm like, I gotta give this guy, he's asking me for a resource. Like, let me give you an example. I had a guy on, I think Tuesday. Today is Thursday. Tuesday. He's trying to get a CDL.
Oh, God.
So I connected him with a guy that I know he used to be at 990.
Mm-hmm.
I gave him his Facebook page. I'm like, write it down, write down his phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I told him he's having an event. Yeah, it was Tuesday because he was having an event on Wednesday. And I said, go there. Tell him I told you about him and you really want your CDL and you're trying to get your CDL. And he was already with the company and he explained it to me because I took the time to listen to him. I wasn't hurrying him off the phone like, oh, well, you lost your job. That's just it for you. Find another one. And I'm like, so, well, what happened? How'd you lose your job? And he's like, well, they switched over the type of trucks. And he's explaining like, yeah, these trucks have air hydraulics and blah, blah, blah. Explaining stuff I don't know nothing about. And then he got to the point of saying, yeah, I need a CDL to drive the trucks for the company. So the company let me go because I don't have a CDL.
Right.
And he's like, I've been there for 5 years and they'll bring me back on, but I don't have a CDL. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I know somebody that does that because in the past, I try to remember different organizations and what they're doing. And the gentleman I referred him to, he had a program for guys trying to get the CDL. So I'm like, I don't know if they're still doing it for free or what the case is.
Probably get unemployment. Unemployment, you could get free. I know some people, they said they got their PhDs while it was on.
Yeah. They don't do that anymore now. They changed that. Yeah. Because people were really doing good. And I was like, that's what we want.
Oh, you are kidding me. What?
Yeah. I knew people that were getting that were at Rutgers with me and unemployment was paying for their education.
I want my tax dollars to do.
Right. They were getting their bachelor's degree and I'm like, oh, wow, that's nice.
When did they stop that?
They stopped it now. They don't pay no more. And I'm like, that's crazy.
How do you get a new skill? How do you get a new?
They just left people out here. You just left out to the whims of the world. And the world is so cruel. Like I've been to 990 when I was like trying to I had moved out of New Jersey. I moved back and I went to 990 with the idea like, oh, okay, this is for people who want to find a job, but it did not meet my expectations. It was what they were offering. They didn't even offer anything in my skill set or knowledge base. It was literally menial labor and how they treat you.
Yep.
They treated me like trash. So when the people say the things that they say about them, I know it's true because I went through that. I had to like talk to the director one day because I'm like, you all are supposed to be helping people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. And then you're ushering people in to sign sheets, attendance sheets, but you're not getting them any jobs. And then they were taking advantage of the people that were receiving the welfare. They weren't helping them, period, Quad. They were like, okay, here's your bus ticket. That's it. I'll see you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they're supposed to be doing resume building and mock job interviews. That was not happening there.
Mm-mm.
And I told the director, and I'm like, what kind of place is this?
Right.
This and then it's called One Stop Career. I'm like, you're not helping anybody get any careers.
Mm-hmm.
Then they were doing forklift training. I'm like, okay, a person like me, I'm not interested in that. What do you have for a person who has a master's degree? You know what they said? What it all came down to? Oh, we can't help you. And I'm like, but
Wild. I mean, you got grants. I mean, you can number one pay for you to go back to school if you wanted to. I mean, that would have been great. But
I'm like, I'm easy. I have a degree. You guys don't have any relationships with any companies. They didn't have any relationships. They only had the forklift. And that was it. And they were doing some CDL training, but you had to qualify and you had to go through hurdles. And I'm like, I thought this was to help people get work. It's not. It's the way they have it. I don't know why. I don't think it's supposed to work like that. I just think the people there just operated that way.
go to a one stop, and what's another one stop? I think they have a different one stop. So you go to a different one stop center in New Jersey, and it's definitely a different experience.
Wow. When I was living in Philadelphia, I went to one out in Pennsylvania. It was great.
Yeah, great experience. All
they had
there.
They had jobs at the university, people I can talk to. Like it was, it was. And that's what I was expecting when I came back to Newark. That their one stop would be like.
Nah.
I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it. It's like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget my experience. So when I first started this organization, that's one of the places that I went to years ago. And, like I said, I will actually test all the viewers to this. One day, if you have a day off of work and it's a day where it's like a regular work day, just dress in regular clothes, regular citizen clothes, like jeans and like maybe, and with some regular sneakers on, try to walk into one stop or to a shelter and say, hey, I'm homeless. What's the application? Go for it. Just spend the day to try to go through some of that stuff. It is infuriating. I mean, not saying you might not get a good person one day. If you get a good person, then that's great. But man, when I tell you, sometimes you feel like you're beneath the earth. The way they speak, people that speak to you like that too.
Yeah,
like you have to I'm a problem. I came here cursing out. No, one of the, hey man, my name is X, Y, and Z. I'm just trying to get some employment experiences. Oh,
Yep, that's what I got. Yeah,
oh my God. And it's just like, dang, I just said hi.
right.
And it's not even
Yeah.
exaggerating. I literally went there one time to get a QR code so that like the young man can get the text messages whenever there's job opportunities. And I never forget, there was the security guard and like I think like the lady that was greeting the people on the front desk. So it was fine. It was like, hey, we're trying to get this, but it was a lady that was on the other side of the build, like on the other side. That
Uh-huh.
was like, and but you could see it because no one stop ain't that big, but
Right.
she had like a hoodie on and she was sitting there with her phone. And I didn't know she was a worker. And they said, hey, X, Y, and Z, could you help us find the QR code? Because we can't find it. I think it's somewhere. When I tell you, getting her up from that corner where she was at, you would have thought we kidnapped her puppy. Like,
Yeah, man. I believe you.
and she drug her feet and she said, well, listen, he gonna just have to wait. And I'm looking like, who's she talking to?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I believe it. It was eventually one lady that I got that helped me.
It eventually you get you
It
find
was one lady and she kept it real. Like, yeah, they're not gonna help you. This
Mm,
not the place. This
so
not
violent here.
yeah, so I was like, wow, so why are they advertising it as such? And I'm like you said, this is our tax dollars.
Mm-hmm. That went
I
up.
want the tax right.
That
I
went up.
want mine to work better. Or if I'm down on my luck, I should be able to go and get the services I need until I can get back on my feet.
And it's one of those things where I feel like one person said like, "Oh, well, they make it hard so you don't have to depend on it." I said, "I can't even use it. I know it's a social safety net, but like you have no way to. But when you get in it, then you become dependent on it because there's no transition off of it.
No transition at
Like,
all. It's
it,
it's like it's like jail and prison. There's no rehabilitation.
Right, right. Now that's one thing that I was also saying about when it comes to private public partnership is that hey, all right, so you got a little job, you got a little stuff, great. So we're gonna partner with this nonprofit, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Because the funding dollars are strict with us. But nonprofits, we have a lot more flexibility with the way we're able to
Right.
spend. So you'll transition with them. They'll make sure you won't crash. The case manager stay for 3 months. Let's transition. Oh, great, you're with us. Let's get you to a larger network. Let's make sure we can help you with a couple of more dollars to make sure you stay even out and everything while you transition to higher pay. Because one of the things we could fundraise for educational. So while you're in working, maybe you can take a couple of classes. We give you funding for that, so that now you're going. You know what I'm saying? Up more and more. You know what I'm saying? Now you're like,
Right.
okay, I've been nonprofit for a year now. I got my school kind of paid for. I got a high paying job. My quality of life is better, and I still have community.
Yeah.
But there's no engagement like that. There's no transition. It's just a sharp cutoff.
Yeah, it is. And then, I think of it like, well, let me do a little bit more and share a resource that I know. Cause yeah, I don't want this person to be out in the street and I be the person that they're robbing or a family member getting robbed by them. And
Right.
all I had to do was give him a resource. I gave like the young man, I gave him a resource. I gave him a date and time and a person to connect with
Mm-hmm.
so that he's busy,
Yep. But then
you
what if
know?
people are getting paid to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
specific title is an employment specialist.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to trigger, but like when I looked at the title, I'm like,
Yep.
this is supposed to be like what's going on? You know what I'm
I
saying?
kept that one stop card. I don't know if they do a card, but they used to print out a card with your name on it. I kept that one card so that I could remember what I experienced
The trauma.
and understand and maintain that understanding of what people go through when they go there.
Right,
They're
right.
not making it up, man.
No, no.
They're not making it up.
I protected my mental space by making sure I'm like, all right, listen, I'm just trying to, but then organizations like myself then build bridges with training institutions and stuff like that, and we refer them over to there. But then once again, it's like especially with federal tax dollars, state tax dollars being invested in there, then it just needs to be better, because
it should be.
that's why the resources are spread thin, because now I'm duplicating the same thing they're getting funded for.
Yep. And they just herd people in and out. Like there's a line outside, and I used to wonder what is this line?
Yes.
And the one in Philly, there was no line. It was like a library.
Wow.
Their one stop was like a library. You go in, it's quiet. There's stations where you can get on the computer to send out your resumes and apply. Yeah. Yeah. And then there were people there. Oh, do you need help? And they let you do your thing. And then they had like job listings by sections and categories on a bulletin. And they had like multiple copies where, let's say, Procter and Gamble was hiring, or Coca-Cola. They'll have like 100 pieces of paper on a bulletin, so you could just grab one for yourself. And whatever other people came in, they can grab one, take it, and you can make a folder of what you want to apply to. When I went to Newark, I didn't see any of that. You get ushered in after you stand on that line. Then you have the security who's aggravated.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to piss him off.
Right. Yeah.
Get kicked out of the place.
Right.
And get nothing accomplished. But
have you tried to get a bus ticket from there?
Oh no, I didn't even know. No. You know what? I understand why the young man walked.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's like I'd rather struggle out in the elements than to deal with somebody that's at a social service organization acting like I'm the problem. So yeah. And like I said, they take advantage of the people who get the welfare though too, because they need that bus ticket, and they know wherever they're trying to travel to is too far. So they treat them like trash, and they endure it because they need it. Otherwise, they would be like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, because some people aren't. They're like, listen, I ain't going to the streets. Like the young man that sells his blood to be able to give Pampers to his kid.
Right. That's wild. And there were organizations out here giving out Pampers. And I had a lady who was saying that, yeah, she needs to buy Pampers for her daughter. And the place I gave her, they didn't have any Pampers. And I'm like, but why do you have this on Facebook?
Right.
That's misleading.
Right. Yep.
And you're like, oh, well, she should have called. How does she know that? You have a posting. At least say we're out of Pampers up there. And then, all right. But she showed up because, she's trying to make moves.
Right. Yep.
She's trying to get there quick before you guys are out.
Yep. When we tried to refer one of the young men to emergency housing, and the emergency housing ran out of funds on September. So did the other place, and there's no way for you to see how, like, all right, is there emergency funding left? Can I go over there? You're trying to call, they're like, you know what I'm saying? X, Y.
Yeah.
When I first started this organization, one of the most traumatic things ever happened to me was I sat down with one of the directors of this nonprofit, and it was during the COVID time. He said, "Yeah, we got this $1 million of funding, and we don't know what to do with it because we can't spend it all too fast and everything." I was just like, "Bro, there's people literally outside of your building and sleeping on the floor." I'm like,
yeah.
Yo, Bill, like, are these restricted funds? Like as long as they go to people that that's impacted by COVID. And I'm looking at like the whole people outside. I'm like, huh? Like
Right.
execute and like and
Yeah.
I thought I had more conversations like that in different places and in government buildings where they're like, yeah, man, like we got another 1.2 mil. We can only give out 4, and then people want 400,000. So we don't know what the rest of this money because we don't spend it and everything. Then they're going to give away. And I'm like, you guys have all of this resources, and
Yeah.
mind you, I'm out here like taking a break from my job to try to beg you guys to not hang up on these people when they're calling. And you have the nerve to tell me you have $1,800,000 just but then but then all of a sudden it disappears. Then it
Yeah.
disappears.
Yep.
Now
And you're like, well, what did you use it on?
where did it go?
Yep.
Where did it go? I have to do my organization's budget this year. I can tell you every single dollar, which is kind of traumatic too, where everything went and why it went there and for what. Like, it's you just gotta, like I said, it was like that was the most craziest thing because I actually tried to co-sponsor my organization with some of these with some of these places. So like, hey, listen, so we're trying to throw this wellness event and everything. Could you guys like, help us out with some food or something like that? Budget is tight. You just say you had a meal. And then I'll learn how to look at the budgets online. And I'm like, I see that last month you just got $100,000 donation. You ain't hiring nobody yet because I track your hirings because I could do that because I know how to do this stuff now. But looking on there, I'm like, you have the line item of money. What are you doing? I'm not asking you to spend $2,000. Some pizza for Saturdays.
They hold on tight and then poof, it disappears because they're like, we gotta spend it. So you know what they start doing? Buying new printers. Doing dumb stuff. Buy a flat screen TV for the office.
It's just like with no cable.
Right. And it's like, you could have used this for the people. Why do you need this? But we had to spend the money because if we don't, they're gonna take it back, or they're not gonna fund us the same amount next year. They're gonna give us less. So you go buy a bunch of useless things.
This problem.
That's what I've seen. I don't know what you see, but this is what I've seen them. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get a new printer, but you just got that printer last year, and it's a laser. It's a laser color printer. Like
your cells, like you print a fingerprint. Like you don't need a new printer. You need better systems. And that's the thing. Like instead of you using all this money, invest in the systems. Make your website better. Make it more responsive.
Yeah. Or get like a solid CRM.
Oh God.
To manage, the clients coming in and out and what services you provide. So you can just boop, print it out. This is what we spend our money on. These are actual people. Yeah, man. I've seen them do crazy stuff like that, Qua.
I'm still seeing them do crazy stuff, and I'm still.
They bought leather portfolios for everybody in the office. $100 portfolios, and it's like, why would you buy that?
Right, I'm trying to figure out like what.
They're just gonna throw that in the corner. Nobody's gonna use it.
So I'm going to be stunting somewhere in my leather portfolio. And did they give you a raise?
No. It was like crazy. Lunch bags with the company logo, and then a bag for the lunch bag to go into.
A bag for the lunch bag. See, somebody's getting like like.
Then Qua, they had like fleece jackets. I don't know if they were North Faces or Columbia's with the agency logo. I'm like, why would you buy that?
With the agency logo? Oh my God! What?
And I know how much this stuff costs because I look into branding and I go to these sites and I know like it's not cheap. You're getting a Columbia fleece
with that's
with the
embroidered.
logo embroidered. It's not even screen printed on. It's embroidered.
Hmm.
And people, you're like, oh, we don't have the budget
How?
for the people in need.
Mm, 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 mm.
Like, you know what you could have did with that money?
Your families you could have fed. Oh my God! I like.
How many back rents could have been paid? How many
Oh,
evictions could have been avoided?
yes. How many robberies didn't could have been stopped because the people would have been like, all right, well, I have no one place to stay. Um, even you telling me that they stopped the like going like because it was so successful, they should too many people taking advantage of it. That they had to stop the unemployment. Like
Yeah, they stopped paying for education. Cause and also, I tried to go for the PhD too. And that's when I wasn't working. They were like, "Oh no, you just getting the unemployment." I'm like, but yeah, I did shoot my shot on that.
but once again makes sense. You ain't got to get a new skill. You got if somebody said, "Listen, I got to use your tax dollars for me to get PhD." Holy shit, yes, God, yes. Like we need more PhDs, more thinkers, more people that's making. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, cause man, that PhD, that's a hefty price tag right there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially if you don't get like a a scholarship or something like that. I mean,
Yeah,
you pay for a house, especially for the major.
exactly.
It pays off in the long run, but still, it's like, and then you have to volunteer for a nonprofit. Well, be enrolled in a like working nonprofit 10 years for them to pay the stuff off for you. But that's only if you have
Yeah.
student loans. And you seen what they're doing now.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they're like, "Ah, we might pay, we might not pay." Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. But yeah, man, I've seen them waste the funding on nonsense.
That's interesting to honestly like know and take into account of because it's like because like I said, when I meet with your team, I'm definitely going to look into like try to see like what partnerships we could develop, streamline some things because
Yeah.
we've been like it's been a couple of organizations we've been trying to refer these guys to, and it's like they're either not respond, and then now that's why a lot of these services we're trying to bring in internally now, like legal assistance. Like, oh my God, like I tried to go to law schools and common sense
Mhm.
nonsense. Man, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. Yeah, we that needs to be the saying. I need to get a shirt with that embroidered on it.
Honest to God, because when I refer somebody, they're like, well, why are you referring to me for your because the job you do because you're doing a job that these people need you to do the job for.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep, yep. But we're making it there. The programs that I do highly recommend though. Empower is amazing. It's
Oh,
called
Empower. Let
yeah,
me write them down in case I need to send somebody
Empower
over there.
anybody there. So their program that helps you get a free IT certification. They focus
Really?
I think people between the ages of what's your age range? 16 to 24, I think. But I think it could be a little like, they won't turn you away if you're a little older.
Wow.
But they're great. We had two young men that was in their program. Another great program is you have the Knowledge House. The Knowledge House,
Knowledge. Okay.
they're actually connected with 990, and you get a stipend with them too. So
Oh, wow.
it's been very, very great. They're very responsive. Um, I wish I should have had these prepared from the Gold Foundation is also great. So if
Okay.
you have a high school degree that wants to become a teacher, they
Mhm.
go to the Gold Foundation and then they'll place you in like Washington State, New York City, Washington D.C. or Newark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yep. I think Seattle, Washington too. You'll be you're basically a tutor, but you'll be learning how to become a teacher, and then you could go back to school. You get a grant to go back to school.
Nice. Oh, you know what I just thought about too with 990. I asked them if they could help me pay for my A+ certification, right? For computers.
Yeah.
They looked at me like I was crazy. And then they didn't even know what that was. And I was like, well, it's the certification to help me get into like IT and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, like they're like, oh no, we don't do that. We don't do comp. And I'm like, well, what about the comp TIA? Like, do y'all have anything on that? They're like, no, because I was trying to make that transition over into that because, you know, like that's like my hobby, fiddling around with the computers and things like that. So I said, well, maybe I should look into that as a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they went and helped me. You know how expensive that certification is. But
Yeah, but you can get it for free. Like I said, there's programs out there now.
so that's good. I'm glad that they have programs and that'll help people get into IT and have that, because that certification means a lot when you're going for a job in that area. They're not even checking for you. They don't care if you know everything about, you know, programming or whatever, basic computing. If you don't have that, they're not even going to take their chance hiring you.
Right. And certifications are so important, man. Because you have was a couple of because certifications 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Out. You know, the Newark Public Library also allows you to get free GEDs with their program there. With their
Oh yeah, I know about that one.
Yeah, there's so much stuff out here, but you know, they just gotta be more coordinated because
Yeah.
like I said, as in the beginning of this podcast, there's so much money and resources out there. You know what I'm saying? And they're being underutilized and they're not coordinated, and people are suffering behind it. Yep, and some people are selfish. That's a great way to put it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. They are. And it's like we can all share and build together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if everybody's happy too, yeah, we don't have to worry about somebody getting their car stolen or robbed because everybody's needs are met.
Everybody needs them met. A lot of people listen. A lot of people want to just be comfortable.
Yeah.
They like to just go in and go like, shoot, that's what I want to do. Just to be able to go and, you know, have a nice consistent day and come out. But when you're living in an environment when it's so much going on, and you know, like you're trying to come home, but then you're seeing like your you know, like people who are homeless outside making encampments in front of your house. And then we just had a shootout in my block a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, you know, man.
What can you expect? What can you really do?
Right. People's needs aren't getting met, you know, and they're going to these social services organizations and getting shut down.
Yeah. And also I want a current exposure. How do I get that?
What, this one right here? Yeah. Oh yeah, I ordered these. I'll order one for you.
Yeah, listen, I want merch. I want a cup. I want it all.
All right. And then you know what? I gotta talk to our young inspired youth too, Rahman, because merch he can sell his merch too. That's connected to his podcast.
Exactly.
That's another way. And then he can have something tangible too. If people feel like I don't want to just donate, I want to get something in return. Okay. Because you have that audience.
Yep.
You know, you have people that's willing to donate $100 for his setup or whatever. Then you have people, I want the t-shirt, or like, you know, I want the mug. So how much is it?
Right. And, you know, they got a space down here to create merch down there in the Newark Public Library.
Oh, right? Yeah? Yep. They got that too?
Got like the 3D printer and the press.
Wow, man. Yeah. I didn't know they had the press. Wow. I got to check that out.
Me and you got to go down there together. Well, let's do like a little thing together. It's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. I got to check that out. So have you met Alicia Grant in the library?
I probably have.
Because I know she was telling me about the podcast, and She's really cool. Yeah. She wants the youth to succeed too.
Yeah. I probably have spoken to her once or twice in the library because I'm there. I'm pretty much there every week.
Oh yeah, you've probably seen Alicia. Yeah. I gotta tell Alicia to look out for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, she did like help organize the Kwanzaa celebration that they have there.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, she's good, man. She's good. I didn't know they had the press though. Wow.
We got to go together. Let's do a Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, Saturday they close early, that's a whole nother thing. I can't believe the library closes early on Saturdays, but absolutely.
That should be the long day. Saturday instead of Wednesday.
But
they should like extend that on a Saturday.
But that's why it's important for us to do more programs. And that's why I have my support group there. They need more traffic because if they don't see traffic, they're not going to invest in it.
Right. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Man. Wow.
Free space to throw events at.
Oh yeah, I did a couple of events. I did concerning violence screening with Lauryn Hill narrates it. I don't know if you've seen it.
Lauryn narrates what?
It's called Concerning Violence. It's a documentary about Black people and their origins and how the transition happened from where religion was used to kind of pull them away from their original religion and culture. Like they have the people dressed up like with native regalia, feathers, all that type of stuff, nose rings.
Wow.
Tattoos on their faces. And this was like the Europeans filming Africa and them going in doing like evangelical work to convert the Africans. Wow. And then as they're converting them, is war going on. There's other people, the same people from these religious people's culture starting wars. And then also working the Africans to build like luxury living spaces in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called Concerning Violence. It's pretty deep. It's pretty deep. So yeah, it was, I think the producer and the guy that did the film, I think he's German. And yeah, he talks about it. Then he also shows a group of African women that are trying to liberate themselves. And they formed their own military. And they're fighting Italy because Italy invaded and wanted to take over. So yeah, they had guns and everything.
Not Italy. What Italy?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, Italy. So whatever type of war situation that was going on with the United Nations, or what did they call them? The Allies.
Yeah.
They sent Italian troops in.
Wow.
To do whatever they contracted them for. So yeah, and then you see the transition of the people coming out of they weren't dressed in their original clothes because they were told they couldn't. And yeah, and religion was used. So it was a pretty good film. So I did that at the library. I did it I think in 2018 on the 4th floor.
Oh.
Yeah, yep. I wanted to do Centennial Hall, but the 4th floor they had the projector.
Oh, okay.
So we used that space. We had some food. People came. It was nice. And then I did a book signing for somebody up there too. They came out with their book.
Yes.
So yeah.
Together.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I said, that's what we gotta do more events together.
I know. We got to get some space at the library too, and invite some people in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that. Maybe we'll do like bring in the nonprofits that you mentioned and just have like a networking event so we get to know each other and what each other do in the community.
Absolutely, and we're doing our second annual Cutler Street Summer Fair, and
I
so
gotta be there.
yeah, so it's gonna be bigger this last because we actually got a grant from the city, thankfully,
Nice.
and so we're excited for that. So we're now starting to send out our like invites for different organizations now, so it's gonna be a good time.
Dope. I can't wait. I missed it because craziness was going on in my life, but I'm coming to the second one. I'll be there. I'm coming. I'm showing up.
Absolutely, it's going to be on July the. Let me just make sure it's right. It's the third July. It's the third Saturday in the July.
Okay.
And that one is July the 20th. So July 20th, we'll have it. Yep.
Let me put that on.
Yep. July 19th is going to be that's when we do community cleanup. So the community cleanup the day before. We cleaned up tons of garbage last year.
Wow. I think you said, how many trucks did you guys have? Well, the dumpsters, you said like 4 or 5.
Well, we had one dumpster, but then we also had dumpsters aside, like the school had dumpsters, but we had one.
Oh.
There was it was a dumpster that could hold 2 tons of garbage, and we thought that was too much, and it was filled to the brim.
Wow.
Yeah. So next year we're gonna probably try to have one that held like 4, and put it for that one. But that's like our annual summer fair that we have. So. Yes, sis, we're trying.
That's nice.
We're trying.
That's nice. You're doing some good work, and I appreciate that too. Especially the guys that you're saving and helping and basically building back up and letting them know like it's not over.
We appreciate leaders like yourself and platforms like this because it really helps us get the word out. And so, like I said, that's why I'm always thankful and privileged to come here and be able to just, talk about all the amazing things you do as well.
Oh, yeah. I got to introduce you to my business partner, too, that's doing the health services, the mental health services. So...
Absolutely.
Yeah, look forward to that. She's basically the brainchild, kind of like she's like your role, the CEO, and I came on as a supporting role because I believe in what she's trying to do. And she can't do it all by herself, and she needs my help, and I'm like the technical person doing the project management, basically, the organizing and scheduling behind the scenes.
Right.
And a lot of I'll be doing the networking too, but she'll be joining me for that because, yeah, we have to get the kids on a better path. And if there's mental health issues while they're young, we need to deal with this. We need to confront that and address it.
Absolutely.
Because we can adjust that while they're young, because their brains are still developing.
Yes.
And we can undo the trauma before they get to being 40 years old and that's it.
You're right.
And they're just like whatever and out there living in the streets.
Right.
So, but yeah, I know I took up a lot of your time too tonight.
No, this is a great investment of it because, like I said, we was able to not only let that young man see what it looks like to run an organization like yourselves, but also for a lot of people to learn a lot of new things. Like I had no idea that unemployment was doing that, so I learned a lot too. So every time I get online with you, I'm always excited. And like I said, it was definitely well needed and overdue.
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, and I appreciate the audience with the comments and joining in and just basically supporting and seeing like the things, the behind the scenes that stuff that goes on with people that's really trying to make Newark a better place to
Yep.
live.
Yep. One
You
brother.
know? Yep. And there are people like Brother Qua working with the men. There are people out here. Connect with Brother Qua. Brother Qua, can you give them the information for your organization so that people know?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us on all social medias, and so like I'm my favorite one is LinkedIn. So you can always
Okay.
go to LinkedIn. You could type in my name, how it's spelled, or follow us by putting in Brothers Building a Better Nation. You can go visit our website. It's bbabn.org, and we're really here. We're excited to accept new brothers, and we're excited to also have impact our community. So definitely you can find us on bbabn.org. It's the initials of our name. So Brothers Building a Better Nation, bbabn.org, or through Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. I prefer LinkedIn though. LinkedIn is where I live at most of the time because that's how I do most of my fundraising.
All right. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
It's been wonderful, people. It's
All right.
time to go. Peace. We'll see you later.
Have a great day.